Welcome back to another podcast in the Ramsden, and I'm here with Ellie, vegan gaze.
Hello.
Welcome. So Ellie, you've this is your first time on the Ramsden, right?
Yes.
But you've been on the podcast. You've been on the live stream before, back when it was a when it was a live stream. Cool. Yes. So for people that don't know who you are, tell us what is vegan gaze and who are you?
I just do vegan stuff, and I happen to be a gay. And I debate people, do outreach, laugh at anti-vegan nonsense, love memes. Yeah, a bit of all sorts, really, as long as it's vegan and a bit homo.
Well, you're outspoken, which is the main reason I wanted to get you on to talk about this topic. Is of course the vegan and being gay really helps, but also that you speak your mind. And this is a topic that I think you need to be comfortable really speaking your mind on, because we're going to get into a bit of a weird post, aren't we? From the Save movement, actually, and we're also going to get into a bit of like why it's weird, and I want to kind of elaborate on that a lot. And then also talk about kind of the kind of best and worst, or they're all bad actually, but the best of the worst and the worst of the best, let's say, I don't know, whatever, arguments that homophobes use against gays, and why this argument isn't particularly a good one that the Save movement has used. Mm-hmm. So they made a post, right? And the post will be up on the screen right now. And we're just going straight into it, by the way. I'm quite happy about this, actually. The speed of getting in there. I'm happy.
That's how we do.
So it's a post. It's a carousel post on Instagram. It says, homosexuality exists in over 1,000 different non-human species worldwide, but homophobia exists in only one. And the caption, it says, homosexuality occurs more frequently in the animal kingdom than most of us realize. We have so much in common with non-human animals, regardless of our species, gender, sexual orientation, or any other superficial differences. We're all equal, and we all deserve freedom and respect. And the picture is of two penguins. I'm assuming they're both a male. I'm gonna guess that's the point here. The two bumming penguins. And then as you go along, you got some dolphins. They talk about how dolphins bum sometimes, and bison are also they're fond of bumming. It's mainly bumming, actually. They don't really talk about any lesbian animals. Macaques, they love a good bum. And albatross, didn't realize they were into it. Who else have we got? What is that? It's a walrus. Apparently walruses up until the age of 4 are bumming, which is weird. Infant animals bumming, like that's something we should be anyway, we're gonna get to that. And male giraffes bumming, and swans are bumming, and rams are bumming, which I didn't see that one the first time around.
All this bumming talk all makes sense now. At least the albatross are lesbians. Female bonded.
Oh, were they lesbians?
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that. Let me go back again.
Look at David erasing the lesbians. I just can't believe
I did. Oh my God, I did. You're totally right. There's lesbian albatross. Do you know what I was just thinking before we get on here about how it's not really fair that the word lesbian is used for like females and the word and gay is used for males, because gay is such a better word, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's such a nicer word. It means happy. It's got like all this. True. Lesbian, it just sounds so formal and scientific and
but Greek roots, you know.
Oh right, okay.
Lesbos,
okay.
You know, it's classic.
Oh,
we got a lovely, Sappho of the island of Lesbos. Gotta learn about it, David. Yeah, educate yourself.
Well, that's why you're here, isn't it? Of course, yeah. I don't know this shit, but it's still it's not a night. It doesn't roll off the tongue quite as smoothly as
I know what you mean. Like when I say I'm gay, it's easier. But when I say I'm lesbian, I feel like I've got some like drugs in my pocket that I shouldn't be telling anyone about. Yeah, I'm
exactly. And considering, I don't know, this joke's going to land on go down like a concrete balloon most likely. But considering the amount of skill and finesse in a lesbian's tongue, the word should roll off the tongue a bit better, shouldn't it? You know,
God.
It should be easy. Nice.
Well, that's why they knew we have a challenge, and they see if we can face it. That's what it is.
Got it.
It's part of lesbian.
So the lesbian albatrosses, yes. and the rest of them are gays, male gays, bumming each other. And okay, so the post itself, as I've been through it, it's on the surface, it's like, these animals having a nice time. Like that's kind of what you think, but they're not posting it like that. They're posting it as like as a comeback, homophobes, as if that's gonna I mean, if you're a homophobe, you're just going to be like, right, those animals are fucking gay as well, then, aren't they? It's not like going to turn you around, is it? You're just going to be homophobic towards those animals, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's being serious for a second. There is a really big mistake they've made, right? And we both noticed it, didn't we? The main problem with it, and as you debate people a lot more often than me on veganism. So what's the thing they've done here that's a problem for like a vegan page?
Yeah, basically, it's an appeal to nature. And, we can't really. My position is that, being gay, queer, it's amoral. You can't assign any moral ought to it. I understand why they've done it's Pride Month, and a lot of people try and use an appeal to nature fallacy to talk about how, queerness is wrong. So it's kind of a clapback, but, we should instead of kind of clapping back, if we really are going to do this, just be like, by the way, this is fallacious appeal to nature, though.
Mm.
It doesn't need to be natural in order
Mm.
for us to just be, oh, okay, yeah, we're fine with that. But yeah, it's good to know that there are gays, in the other village, at least.
It is though. It's nice in that sense for
Mhm.
sure. But I totally agree with you. And that's the first thing I thought was the Save movement and so many animal rights orgs are out there saying, "Hey, look, you know what? It doesn't matter if eating meat's natural. We don't have to do it. It's not like animals kill each other. It's not like we just kill each other like indiscriminately like they do sometimes, and they rape each other. We don't do that, do we? We don't just look at them and say, oh, we'll do that too. So then, but now it suits them and they're like, well, animals bum each other and les off, so why can't we?
Les off for the
and it's
lads. Yeah, no,
and
that's
it's like, it's a bit of a weird one, like it's a double standard, right?
yeah.
Um,
We should.
mm,
It's much easier, and we could all be victim to this ourselves. But it's
mm,
much easier to see when someone is being fallacious when they're not in your camp. But vegans,
mm,
we constantly not constantly, there are quite a few things that we deploy as appeals to nature, like like saying we're herbivores, therefore we should be
yeah,
vegan,
I've
or
heard that.
stuff like that, when it's not necessarily the case that what is natural is moral, and we should really come away from that. I see this
Mm,
as this is a product of just how popular appeals to nature are, but if you're
mhm.
really gonna feed into it, just at the very least, we have to be like, by the way, though, this isn't even an argument, because whether or not it's natural, just again, doesn't tell me anything about whether or not I should
Right.
do it or not.
Right. And as a vegan page, especially, if another page made this post, imagine just like a general, I don't know, LGBT page or whatever made this post, I don't think it would be as big of a problem because it's not like they're constantly dealing with people who are trying to justify doing something else based on nature,
Mm.
though, and having that argument. I think the problem is because it's specifically a vegan page where people are constantly telling them, I eat meat because it's natural. And then they would say no, and then they would say, but you can be gay because that's natural. And it's like, it's such, yeah, it's a real a shame that they didn't have the disclaimer as well. Like you said, it's a shame that it didn't say, by the way, this is not a strong argument. It's just observing something that happens and just showing you that it occurs in other places. It doesn't mean that, you know what I mean? Because the thing is,
Hmm.
it's like, for me, right, here's where I stand on this. I mean, it's not like when you're arguing against a homophobe, normally the reason they're homophobic is some kind of religious, it's based on some kind of religious thing. It's not based on practically anything else, because this whole idea of like bumming or whatever being wrong comes from religion. It's not like it's a brand new thing. This idea of it being wrong is new. I don't know if the listeners realize this. It's a modern invention that homosexuality is evil. It's not an ancient invention. In ancient times, everyone was bumming and getting with whoever they wanted to all the time, and it wasn't even frowned upon. It was just a thing that everyone did. There wasn't gay or straight. It was just, you are you just, right. It's a modern invention. I was reading up about this, which I found really, I guess, that knowing the meaning of lesbian, where that came from and stuff, you probably read up on that as well, right?
Yeah, like especially in Greece, like it wasn't suddenly completely accepted, but there were these kind of relations that involved, like homosexuality, and it wasn't seen as
Mm,
this kind of like sinful act. But yeah, this is the problem when you get into kind of religious scripture. If people are appealing to that, then they are seeing this kind of immorality that
mm,
otherwise, people don't assign. And to be fair to the Save movement, they're not. It's quite a brief post. They're not really saying, "Oh, it's natural, therefore it's necessary," like, or not necessary,
True,
but
yeah.
like it's therefore it's right or anything. They do say, we're all equal and we deserve freedom and respect. And I see the timing of it. It's Pride. Well, it was Pride Month.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
more Pride. Okay. We're on
It's
the first
always
now.
Pride Month.
Always Pride Month.
12
Yeah.
months a year.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so it's kind of like harmless in a sense, but at the same time, it's a demonstration of the problem that we are facing, which is how much authority people do see in the appeal to nature. And it is just sad that it has to be mentioned as natural. But I can see a positive from this in the sense, because I think that maybe it would have the opposite effect, where you said, like, people think, oh, well, they're homos too, degenerates or whatever. But
those fucking penguins.
But yeah, we have a habit of, thinking, oh, if like an animal engages in some sort of loving behavior, or they seem happy, then it's like humanistic, which isn't the case. It's just they are also like animals like us, and they do all these things and are capable of all these things. So I guess when we see them expressing something that we can relate to, Homo rams and Homo Elliot, we can be like, oh, they are, they are capable of so much, yet we take so much from them. So I see a positive, but there is this undertone of like, don't fall for the appeals to nature from the other club, trying to justify discriminating against people. Yeah,
definitely. I agree with you as well. There were a couple of comments in there that actually kind of made me laugh, but they were right as well. Even though they were like, it was annoying and they were clearly just trying to be silly and arguing against veganism, but they were kind of right. One of them was like, I've got a dog and he'll fuck anything with a pulse. And one of them was like, same thing about, like, I don't know, saying something else about another kind of animal. Like, I don't know, if you look at other animals, I mean, turtles will hump stones, dogs will hump stuffed animals. It's not really a good comparison to make, to be like, hey, look, these animals also bum each other. Yeah, but they'll do anything. They'll if something resembles a backside, they'll get on it.
Mind
like,
you,
I mean, it's not.
I know heterosexual people like that, actually. Like, I know people who have screwed some stuffed toys, but they swear they wouldn't screw a bum. So, don't know about that, David. Don't know. I really don't know about that. But no,
it's not. I mean, it's not gay. It's not. Look, if you have a toy that's male, it's not gay if you bum that. But if you bum a,
if you say no homo first, it's not gay either. So I don't know where we're even drawing the line.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
No,
Actually, I totally forgot about that.
The first animal I found out about actually were lesbian salamanders, and like, it's weird because in this post, like, even with the albatross that were lesbos, here we are. They have female bonded pairs. They're monogamous and mate for life, and they raise chicks together. So they have the guy comes in, does his deed, and then they look after the babies. Yeah, there's quite a few species of animal who are like, nah, thanks for doing your bit, like, sperm donor. But now we're all gonna, like, live our life happily together. So sperm donors exist out in nature as well.
Man, I think humanity would be better off if we did it that way, maybe.
Yeah, there are lots of species they're finding more and more, then having instances where there's a bit of lesbianism, bit of
it's
queerness.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's interesting, and I find it interesting, and that's kind of where it ends. As it's like, it's interesting. It's like, wow, it's fascinating. It's nature. It's looking at animals, different species. Wow, isn't that incredible? But it has no bearing, and it should have no bearing on what we do.
No.
And this is the point that we're trying to get at. And I think I've got the number one argument, by the way, for against homophobic people. I've got it. I think I've got the one.
Right.
You can't argue against it, right?
Hit me with it.
The number one argument that a gay person can use to say, to not justify, but to argue back. Okay. You're gay because you fucking want to be gay.
Yep.
It's you that's it. There is no, that's it. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's it. That's who I am. That's what I want to do. It's got fuck all to do with you, where I put my bits, and it doesn't impact you in any way. That's it. That's the argument. So I don't understand why there's anything more needed. I think that's just the end of it.
People. Yeah, it's because obviously, there are these kind of cases people want to compare it to, like, I don't know, zoophilia or pedophilia, all these like horrific things. But it's
how
like,
could they?
I don't know, because it's like, well,
it's
here
consenting adults.
there's a clear established harm from not, like, engaging in those versus, like the consent element. I just don't understand. But I guess, if they're going through like biblical scripture, for example, they are seeing a harm because it's, a sin.
Right.
But
it's a sin, you're going to go to hell.
It's only a sin if you are interpreting the scripture in a certain way. So I don't know how they, like how it says, thou shalt not lie with another man. Well, if I'm a lesbian, I'm not doing that. So what's the problem? Like, I'm literally, I'm doing exactly what you said. Like, error 404 did what you did, said too well. Like,
oh my god, that's hilarious.
I don't understand.
That's a really good point. I like that. It's like it's a good one. Like you screw them on their own scripture. But I've got another point on this. So I was doing a bit of reading about this, not recently, like a while ago, and I'm so happy I did now, because now it's my moment. Right? I get to show everybody how much I know. So I got the notes ready, though. Obviously, I don't remember this exactly. I had to write it down.
Mm-hmm.
But check this out, right? From 600 BC to 50 AD, it was in England. It was Celtic people, right, that lived here. And here's a quote from a historian that was living in 1st century BC, right? So he said, although Celtic women were beautiful, their men preferred to sleep with each other, right? This is from this is like England BC, like before Christianity took over and made it. So my point is, right, is that if your scriptures are all telling, and this is just one civilization, pretty much every civilization around that time was, the men and women didn't have gay, straight. They were just all everything. It was like whatever you wanted, didn't matter. There was no stigma. This all came later. This all came way later for most cultures, right? So my point is, if you're reading scripture now and like, okay, you're Christian or whatever you are, and your mass organized religion tells you now that this stuff is all evil, you're going to go to hell. Now I just need to know, was it always wrong? So were all these people going to hell? How could they have known? How could they have known? But before Christianity, before Jesus came back, how could they? So they were all destined to go to hell for doing the things that God designed them to do, because they wouldn't do it otherwise, would they? So the argument would be, like, from Christians, by the way, is that, they do it because it's sin, because it turns them on. These people didn't know they were sinning.
No.
So how could they have been doing it? Because it's naughty. It wasn't naughty. It was totally, for them, it was just like literally like whatever. It wasn't even a thing. It was just what they were doing. So how does that make any fucking sense? So are they all destined to hell? Is that it, Ellie? Did they all go to hell?
Steve was bumming Simon.
All those millions of people.
Yeah, I guess so, because they weren't willing to accept God or Jesus into their life, because they didn't even know about it. But how can you be convicted of a crime you're not even aware of?
Mental.
Yeah.
And then if God came back, if the argument is no, he changed his mind, right? So why did he change his mind all of a sudden? Did he just go off it? Like, you know what? I'm sick of seeing all this bombing and scissoring.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
I've just had enough. Go down, Jesus or whoever prophet. Go and tell him to stop now.
I really, the whole homophobia shit, especially, like, obviously I don't engage in bumming, so it's a very different world to me. But it's weird to go down the sodomy route, and when more hets bum than homosexual couples, like, there's just many hets and many bum. I think it was Stephen Fry who brought up that point. It's just like, I don't know why. It's such a focus, but yeah, it amazes me that we have to even just kind of like let people know, oh, by the way, yeah, this is something that is natural, and but still, even then, like, with the authority that people put on the appeal to nature, it won't be enough. But I guess the reason it won't be enough is if we fundamentally challenge why we view things a certain way, it's not usually down to kind of like this natural order that, like, oh yeah, I don't like that because that's not natural. It's just because we don't understand it, or
Mm,
we're kind of, and if we don't understand something, a lot of the time we can be afraid of it, we can demonize it, we
true.
can, dramatize it and end up catastrophizing, which is, yeah.
That's true, because it's like, if I'm speaking for myself, the idea of if I think about myself like getting down and dirty with a dude, that I find that the thought makes me very uncomfortable,
Hmm.
right? So if I was not able to think rationally, and then I would attribute that feeling to everybody else who does it, right? This
Hmm.
is the problem.
Yeah.
When it's like, it's okay if you're not comfortable with it. It's okay if it makes you feel a bit like, oh, whoa, scared, or oh my god, I wouldn't do that. Even it's okay to even be disgusted by the thought, because they're disgusted by the thought of what you do with your wife, right? You
Hmm.
know what I mean? It's not like that's wrong. What's wrong is, um, expressing that outward towards them and their partner. It's like, no. You can be disgusted in the thought of it happening to you. That's fine, but you can't put that on them and then look for excuses to justify your disgust in them by using God, though. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? That's pretty much what's going on, I think, for a lot of people,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And I like, it's the same for me. I try and picture these things because I think a lot of queers go through this process of thinking like, oh, maybe I'm not, maybe this is
Okay.
something, because people kind of gaslight you a lot into thinking, oh, it's a
Okay.
phase, oh, you must have been traumatized, or you've got to have daddy issues,
Especially
something.
men who like you,
Yeah,
probably, I guess.
well,
Yeah,
maybe I don't know.
yeah.
But yeah, they'll say all this stuff, so you think, oh, maybe I am. But yeah, just the thought of it makes me uncomfortable. But I can't project
Mm,
my sexuality and the things that I'm comfortable with in my own bedroom on other people.
right.
Like sexuality and what you do with your own body, your autonomy is
Mm,
it's yours and the individual that you are engaging with to deal with. It's not other people's. But
mm,
people want to really like tell you what you should do with your body. But they
mm.
people do this with loads of things, which I find bizarre. Like even with things like tattoos, it's like
Yeah.
it's my body, Susan. Like I don't care if you don't like it. It's on my body. Like it's stuff like
Yeah.
that. And this is just a kind of conspiracy of mine, but
Okay.
um with how we are with the autonomy of others, I think this does tie into like how we are so quick to disregard the autonomy of other sentient beings, because we just kind of think
Mm,
like, even with children, the way that children are parented, there's a disregard for autonomy. Even with little things like oh, give your grandma a kiss when they don't want to, or
yeah.
hitting them, stuff like that.
Mm,
I think these things are all loosely tied, like very loosely. I do think you'd see improvements if we did respect generally the autonomy of somebody else, and what they're comfortable with,
mm.
sexually and romantically and stuff like that. As long as you're not
Yeah,
harming
yeah.
anyone, of course.
Totally, yeah, totally. I think that going to even you've picked a quite subtle and a safe example there of like a kid being told to kiss grandma, which actually actually no, it sounds subtle, but it's not really. For as a kid, I think I've been there. Yeah, I've definitely been there, and I've
Hmm.
got that memory still there, even though I was so young. So I think it does sear into your
It
brain when you
does.
do something horrible. It's obviously it's not fair on them to say it's horrible, but as a kid it's pretty scary to kiss anyone, never mind an old woman,
Yeah.
when you're a kid. So you've got to point that. And even going to a more extreme example, in some cultures, it's still taught that women don't have as many rights like with their bodies as men. And then obviously this can lead to men growing up or boys growing up and doing horrible things to women because they think they deserve it. And that's the extreme of what you're saying. But in the West, we don't necessarily have that taught, but these little things that you just mentioned there still contribute to somebody having a lack of respect for someone else's like body, if that makes sense. So I see, just to make an extreme example to show like that's the most horrendous it goes. But even these small ones that you're mentioning that are prevalent in our culture can cause problems too. It's a good point. I
Yeah,
never thought about it
yeah,
before.
as a child, like children are very receptive, like very quickly they understand things like gender roles to a degree, and
Mm,
or where their place in the world is quite quickly. And I
mm,
think earlier than we probably think, we are realizing that our opinion and what we want doesn't really matter in comparison to, the authorities above us.
mm,
But
true.
yeah, it's all sorts of stuff like that that just makes me think, oh well, no bloody wonder We can't respect the autonomy of another sentient being. We can't really
Yeah.
respect each other's. So,
Yeah.
like,
No. You were talking about conspiracy
yeah.
theories. I've got one a little bit for you as well, like a bit of a hypothesis, let's say, theory. I think that, and you can confirm this maybe actually from experience, I don't know, but I would say that a lot of the people that protest the most against gays, specifically here we're talking, because this is, homosexuality as a specific, just by itself. Um, I mean, I think that if they're really, really, really going hard, I mean, do you not think that's projecting maybe a little bit? Like the
Yeah.
ones who go really hard, like they're trying to like cover up some thoughts by going overly the opposite way,
Yeah,
maybe?
like vocally, like I think we see this like with like anti-vegans. This isn't exactly a complete comparison, but
Hmm.
it's people who are very anti-vegan. They seem to hold a lot of guilt
Ah,
about
okay.
what they know of, what they have knowledge of, and what a lot of people who protest against queerness, like a lot of them are coming from a background where they see that as a horrible thing. They see this kind of
Uh-huh.
social pressure. Oh, I can't be queer of any kind because then that will make me a bad person. They're attaching, their whole morality to that. So I think in many instances, they are also, queer themselves. But
Hmm.
I kind of understand this rhetoric, but I do worry sometimes because I have seen instances where people who are kind of the anti-queer community will kind of
Hmm.
use that against the queer community, because they'll be like, the only problem you have homophobia and all these problems is because of your people. You just haven't welcomed them well enough. So it's like
Ah,
it's sometimes used as a shifting the
sure. Okay, I
blame
get it.
onto the actual
Okay.
community, which
Okay.
again, not a direct comparison, but people will do that with the vegan community as well. They'll be like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, the reason you've just getting this backlash is just because you vegans are so judgy and horrible. Like no wonder people then are so anti-vegan,
Got it.
putting it
Yeah.
on the community again. But yeah, there are many instances, like I'm pretty sure a few like conservative like anti-gays recently have been like
Mm.
called out for looking at queer porn and stuff like that, and it's just like, oh my god.
Just curious though.
Yeah.
Just curious. I was wanting to see what I was fighting
And
against.
it's
Like
like,
what?
wow,
What the
if you
fuck?
didn't make your entire identity something that's against this, nobody would give a damn that you're
Yeah.
watching queer porn. Like,
Oh
this is,
man.
you've dug this grave. I don't get it. I really
There's
don't.
definitely some kind of conservative gay orgies going on
Oh,
somewhere in the world,
definitely.
right? Because
Definitely.
it's the ultimate. It would be the ultimate kick for them because it's like the ultimate sin, isn't it, for them?
Hmm.
They've got to be. Some of them have got to be given into that urge of like just doing the baddest thing they can think of, and like also most of them, not most of them, a lot of them probably do have like they're in the closet.
Doing the
So
yeah, and it's just
I
it's just
reckon,
so sad. Like it just
yeah.
shouldn't be a thing. Like I get really annoyed because I was responding to Matt Walsh recently, who I don't
Ah.
really know him very much, but I know that he made this video on the new film Lightyear, and he said it's gone all woke, and he said he hasn't even watched it, and the only woke thing in it was this lesbian kissing scene. So I watched the
Yeah.
lesbian kissing scene. It's zero point 0.5 seconds of a seemingly like same-sex couple giving each other a peck on the lips. And
Right.
it's just like, this is so sad that this is a political thing. Like, if that was just a man
Hmm.
and a woman just like giving each other a little smooch,
No
it
one would
wouldn't mean
care.
anything.
Yeah.
Even in like, I've watched, rated U or PG films where like
Mm.
that you've got two, heads like proper like going for it. It's like, God, the clothes are going to come off any minute, and this is apparently acceptable for children. But then like
Mm.
two seemingly lesbians or bis or whatever, they're giving each other a kiss,
Mm.
and apparently Hollywood's gone woke. It's just like, oh my God, give it a rest, mate. Like if
It's a
you,
weird one. I
yeah.
only see. I saw the movie posted and publicized a bit, and I was like, okay, that seems pretty cool. And then I saw all this drama, and I was like, all right. I mean, I didn't really understand it completely.
Mhm.
I know. I could see people were angry, And I was thinking like, oh, everyone's so angry. Should I be angry about something here? It's like, is there something like, am I missing something? Because I was racking my brains. I was like, okay, so it's two women kissing the movie, okay.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, do I have a problem with that? I was like, I don't think I do, because loads of people kiss in movies, and it is usually straight couples. Is it worse because it's not a straight couple? Well, not really. Are they promoting? Like, is it really hot and heavy? I doubt it. It's Pixar.
Mhm.
That would be bad. Okay, fine.
Yeah, it feels
Because then it would be like
erotic and
fetishizing it,
yeah.
right? Yeah, it'd be like fetishizing it. Is it just, or is it just a same-sex couple like doing what like a normal couple does in real life?
Mhm.
Peck on the whatever, on the lips or cheek, whatever. Is that what it is? And if that's, I've not seen it yet, but if that's what it is,
Yeah,
which I assumed it
literally.
would be,
Literally
then
zero
it's like,
point
what the fuck
0.5
is the problem?
seconds, a woman goes up to another woman, quick, mwah, there you go.
What is that
And
then? Like,
it
what's
should
the
I don't understand, and it's just it
okay?
should be not viewed as any different at all, and I just find it really annoying that it has to be this kind of
Mm,
like, oh, they've put two women in a film, for political reasons. It's like, no, it's just because, women
mm,
dating women do indeed exist, and though there might be this political kind of like motive or whatever,
mm.
as there are with basically most films, like there's politics baked into literature,
Yeah.
art. At the same time, still, I just still don't see the problem. It's like, okay, well, maybe someone who's more kind of progressive or left is going to be more likely to kind of consider, oh, a lesbian because they might be one, and so they might want to include it. But it's like, even the inclusion of that shouldn't drum up any sort of problem, because it's like, well,
Yeah.
lesbians, what are you gonna do? Like, it's shocking.
Yeah, it's kind of unusual. It's not kind of, it's very unusual to be so upset about that.
Mhm,
And I mean, the things I've seen the reviews of the movie, and the reviews in general have been pretty shit, because people are just saying not about that. They're just
mhm,
saying it's not a very good movie. So I
mhm,
don't think I might watch it when it, downloaded at some point. But like, I mean, I'm sure there are more, like, there are, like, put it this way, right? There are movies out there that have been ruined by politics. Like, they could have been a great movie, and they've been destroyed by pandering and just stupid messaging. That's just like, you don't go to a movie to have politics shoved down your throat, or maybe you do, depends on the movie. But if you go and see an entertaining movie, that's not what you want. And a lot of movies have gone down that road. So when people kick off about that, I'm like, yeah, fair play. I saw that movie. That was full of bullshit. I didn't go there to be lectured to. Fuck off. I get that. This isn't that though, right?
mhm. No.
I see a big distinction here between like, maybe it's just one scene, and that's it. That's it. Everyone's like, it's the wokest woke ever. And it's like, I think it's like an overreaction maybe, because I am one to call out woke bullshit in movies.
Mhm.
And when this popped up, I was like, oh, here we go again. But then I really had to delve deep, and I was like, wait a minute. Is that it?
Yeah,
Is that the only thing
that's it.
everyone's upset about?
Yeah.
Well, then no, that's not enough to consider it a stupid woke movie, or whatever political movie.
Mhm,
It goes the other way too. If a movie's got stupid nationalist politics in it, or I hate that as well, by the way. But
mhm.
these days, it's mostly woke stuff because of the Hollywood is what it is. But
Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah.
I see film trailer. I don't really watch too many films anymore, but
Mm,
I prefer the kind of like artistic element, or I
yeah.
do like an action film, a bit of stabby stab, stuff like that. Um, but yeah, there are some films where they've advertised it, and there are certain lines, and it's just like that had to be so forced, in a sense of
Oh,
that wasn't part of like
yeah.
natural speak or anything like that. Like, I know that
Mm.
scripts, it's quite clear it's not natural speak, but when it's so clearly
No,
not
I get you.
naturalized, and it's
I
like,
get you.
you had to fill some sort of I don't know, quota or whatever for this. Like, it
Yes.
doesn't matter
Yes.
what it's pushing. It's just, if it's so clear that they've not really considered the art,
Mm.
then yeah, it feels a bit unnatural, and it's
It's
like canned
forced, and
laughter. Like,
it's
I
and
hate shit
yeah.
like that, where it's like, oh, I should
Oh
be
dear.
laughing now. Like, no, don't do that.
It's there's a type of comedy that does this. It's called was it like it's called like claptivism. So basically, it's when, I think it's claptivism. It's when a comedian goes up and they don't tell jokes. They just make statements that are really like woke, or it can be woke, or it can be the other way as well.
Mhm,
Obviously, woke. When I say woke, I mean progressive. And when the opposite way would be like whatever, conservative. I don't know.
mhm,
But like, they go up and they're not making jokes. They're just making statements about things, and instead of laughing, people clap. right? So this is kind of what some of these movies do. It's like, instead of wowing you with some kind of entertaining story or whatever, they just make loads of political statements. So you're sat there going, yeah, yeah. And then it's like, that some people love that, but most people don't. And this is why the clapback comes, because people are like, fuck off.
I find anything that kind of like requires some sort of response in that way quite cringe. I even see it in like the vegan, even in the vegan movement, someone will say animal abuse is wrong. It's like, totally, oh my god, totally. Like, no totally. Shit, mate. That's why we're here.
It's like, if there was a movie and they've put some person in there, like, I mean, you could have a natural conversation. Hey, man, why are you vegan? Well, it's because of this. I'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool that they have this conversation in the movie if it was relevant. But if it wasn't relevant and someone just launched into some kind of rant, I'd be like, oh god, swallow me now.
Yeah,
I want the ground to take me out of this scenario.
Yeah, for such a cringe person, I'm easily cringed out, and there's like a lot of these things I just feel it. I'm like, this is not natural to me. Okay. Oh, sorry, appeal to nature was that. No, I don't like it. It's not natural. But yeah, like, to get back,
Buzz Lightyear isn't this. This is what we're trying to say. But this exists, and people are right in a lot of cases when they say this is happening, and they're rightfully annoyed about it. This one's not one of those times, and I'm just kind of. And I've seen the comments section of some of these posts as well, of people being like, "This is fucking disgusting. I'm not taking. How could my kids want to watch this movie? How can I take my kids to watch this movie now?" And I'm just like,
wow.
What do you think is going to happen to your kids? Like, what? Yeah. Do you not think they're kids that kiss each other all the fucking time? Like,
and they're not going to have a nuanced conversation about, what's the politics, surrounding, LGBTQ and like, whether or not I should, be a, homo. Should I do that? No one's going to wait for that.
Funny.
Be like, Mummy, I love the Buzz Lightyear. Like that's literally what's going to happen.
Right. It's like little toddler ones. Like, so earlier on, I just want to make sure I don't like walk back what I said earlier. It is scary when you're old enough age, when you're told to kiss someone, when you pass that age where it starts to become awkward. But before that age, kids kiss each other all the time, right? Girls kiss girls, guys kiss guys, and no one gives a fuck.
No.
Like, you look at the, oh look, he's giving him a kiss. Oh, isn't that nice? Oh look, she's giving her a kiss. They're giving each other. They look at, everyone finds it cute. But like, two adults doing it in a animated movie. Oh no, they can't see that.
Yeah, oh god, there'll be a homo. Oh my god, I won't get the son that I always wanted. No,
Mental,
I just, and that's the thing that kind of annoys me. It's just like, for the most part, or I'd say like a large proportion, there is queer acceptance. But we're still highly politicized. It's still seen as this kind of unnerving or weird thing when we're introduced to something just existing there as like a character. And as well as that, even in the film, I forget what it's called, but it's called like something like lesbian death phenomena. Basically, where in films, they'll always have the tragedy for the lesbian.
It's kind of like when there's a black guy in a horror movie, you already know who's dying first.
Always kill them.
Okay.
Yeah. So they'll get the kind of like minority individual, and just there'll be the tragedy, the sad story, and stuff like that. But it's just it's still heavily politicized, and like maybe from a small portion of like the queer community, but people who are heterosexual, they don't have to deal with someone being like, this is like disgusting, the fact that you love, it's just so we are far from like proper acceptance. We'll know that there is acceptance when people stop bloody going on about it, as if it's like this thing to even debate. Like that's
it's a weird
what we'll know.
debate.
Yeah,
it's a weird thing to debate as to where I don't. So you've mentioned, I've heard you mention a few times. So first, I'm kind of old fashioned, so I'm like 33 now, so maybe this is why I'm a bit old fashioned on this. But when I say gay, I'm including like everyone here. Everyone, literally, like people who just did a bit of bumming once and or a bit of whatever once, and people who like just aren't really sure, people who are like maybe one day, and people who do it all the time and like with anyone and everyone or whatever. Like I it's all under one umbrella. When you use the word queer, so is that what queer means? Am I using gay in the wrong?
No, gay's still like still people who are bi, pan, whatever, they'll
Okay.
say gay.
Okay.
Like, that's fine. It's I just like to use different words. I like words.
Okay. That's cool then.
But
That's
no,
making sure that
queer.
I'm.
No, queer
Yeah.
can be. I think queer a lot of the time as well kind of encapsulates as well trans, because like trans isn't like a sexuality, but it's
Right.
part of the community. Because queer was seen as how strange, how bizarre. So it's kind of like a reclamation of that word. So some people
Right.
use queer, some people use gay, some people
Okay.
lesbian.
That's cool then.
So it is an umbrella
Just trying to
term.
make sure that I'm not
Yeah.
on my way to getting Twitter cancelled.
Yeah, I'll cancel you
He
single-handedly.
said gay. That's offensive to queer people.
Yeah, no, it depends on the person, what they like. Some people don't like queer either because it makes them think of bizarre words. You know what I
It
mean?
is a
Like,
bizarre word. It means weird to
yeah,
me. Queer.
bizarre.
It's like
Yeah.
strange
Oh,
or something.
queer. Yeah,
So
that used to be
yeah.
So some
Oh,
people don't like that.
oh, you're having a very gay day today. How queer. Like
Yeah,
those two words mean, if you say it like that, then it's like old England. It means you're very happy.
yeah.
That's strange.
And some people
So it's
don't.
like
Some people don't like lesbian either because of
right,
the response that you get. So for
right,
a long time, I was not comfortable telling people I was a lesbian, but now I
right,
just
right.
I'll say it. So.
I think I do stand by what I said earlier. I think the word's just very offensive, like to hear. Like it's just a very like, it doesn't
I
it
love it.
doesn't
I
flow.
love it. It's a bit of a weird one, but yeah.
It
If you
is
look into
it's
Sappho and the Isle of Lesbos,
I'll check it out. I'll check it
yeah, and
out.
that's where
I
the
just
term like sapphic comes from.
okay,
You know,
okay,
like
okay.
lesbian. But yeah, that's a
Yeah.
very interesting little story for you. One to read before bedtime.
I think you might want to give us a bit of an overview now. Actually, the listeners might want to hear it.
No, I'm not like too read up, but basically, she was just she was a lady's lady,
Okay.
and yeah, that's kind of where the inspirations come from. Um, I'm not like a sapphic historian, unfortunately, but
Okay. Okay.
yeah, no, it's just that's where the etymology of the word
Okay.
derives. So yes,
So you've said a few times today as we've gone through, you've also used the word lesbos, and like that's a colloquial term.
oh,
Like
just
I've always kind of been under the impression that that's kind of like not really cool to do
oh
with.
yeah. If you call someone a lesbo,
Yeah,
then that's kind of a derogatory. But
it feels a bit
yeah.
right. It feels a bit. I didn't say it. I think I said les off because I feel like that's acceptable. Is it acceptable to say like someone leses off? Like as like a
I mean, it's one of those things. It's like for me, I love a good edgy joke,
yeah,
but it's better if you actually know the person because it's like,
sure,
wait, do you
right,
mean that? So if I know a person and they say les
yeah,
off, then I don't
yeah,
care. But if some
got it.
random guy comes up to me and he's like,
Yeah,
"You're not
yeah,
lesing off, are you? Are you here lesing off?" Then I'll be like, "I need you to leave me alone."
yeah, this
Yeah.
is why, this is like, I would never speak the way we're speaking. I mean, this is going out publicly, so I probably shouldn't have been speaking to you in the more comfortable way. But I mean, even my first message to you on this was like, hey,
You're
as
gay.
a massive vegan and also a massive gay, what is your thoughts on this post?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was.
Because
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, I don't know. I guess I would never speak to somebody I didn't know like that because that's. I mean, there's loads of things like that you would say to people you know and people you
Well,
don't know. I mean,
that's
this
one
is
of the purposes of humor. It's just
right.
a rapport thing. It's like
Mm,
constantly you're signaling to people subconsciously when you're talking to them, and it's like, by the way, we're friends. By the way, this is I'm fine with this. By the way, it's good. And
yeah,
jokes are just one way to do that. Because if they
true.
don't
Yeah.
like it, you know that maybe you're merely acquaintances, and you
You
shouldn't.
could have done though. You could have been like,
I
you,
couldn't
you
after
fucking
this.
what?
I'm coming out with a video. I'm gonna have like a really serious thumbnail, and I'll be like, "Ugh, David Rams, God,
David Rams thinks we're that tight.
yeah,
We're not.
I should know. He kept saying the word woke like a lot, so I should have seen the signals, and he's harassed
I
me this
th-
entire time. So
I think the words we've used most here that I reckon someone's going to make an edit of this of every single time I said bum or bumming. I don't know. It's just such a fun word, and I can't help myself when I get the
I
opportunity
can't help
from
but
saying
bum.
it.
Like
I just
I'm a
can't.
ram after all.
How often in your daily life do you get to talk about animals bumming, people bumming, and historic bumming? You just don't get to talk about this stuff. So when I get the chance, I'm like, let's go. Talk about bumming as much as I possibly can. with someone who's never bummed. So it's
When he gets the chance, he'll ram it in the den. That's what he'll do. Yeah, we love. I love talk of bumming. It's very foreign realm to me, but love a good bum. It's classic. But
Let me get them. You're very good at these puns. You're coming up with them on the spot a lot of the time, which is impressive.
yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I try.
It's good talent. It's good talent. Well, I think actually I think we've put this to we've got into it. I don't know where else we could really go with it. I'm actually quite happy with we got to the bottom of it
Yeah.
completely.
I think the post is a product of the obviously Pride Month applicable,
Mm,
but it is a product of a world that sees an appeal to nature as something that is an authority and that you can extrapolate oughts from, which isn't something that we should be
mm,
doing. So not a massive angry thing that it doesn't make me want to respond angrily to its existence, but it
oh
would be
no.
really good if they just were like, by the way, this is an appeal to nature fallacy, homosexuality, queerness, amoral. It doesn't matter if it's natural or not. It doesn't matter if one animal did it or,
Yeah.
thousands. It shouldn't mean anything, but it's cute.
Yeah,
Bit gay
totally. And
penguins.
yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. It's cute. And I think the only reason I wanted to get into this in the first it's just that it wasn't a good look. And I think this is an important message to take away from something like this is that the safe movement is animal rights org and they wanted to do something, say something nice for Pride. They've done lots of nice things for Pride in the past. They've done lots of nice things for LGBT, the posts and stuff like that. But I think sometimes you can be maybe kind of it could cloud your judgment when you're trying to look for a way to combine the two things that or two things that you're passionate about, and it can end up in making a post like this, which, as we said, on the surface it looks nice, it's fun, it's fancy, but A, you're not convincing homophobes, and B, you're definitely not going to convince people to go vegan with this because you're using a fallacy on to both of these people,
Mhm.
right? So it's kind of like the intention's very good, and on the surface it looks great, and all the vegans loved it. But if you look closer, there's a lot of people in there who are like, so I can eat meat then because it's
Yeah.
natural, right? I saw that a few times. I saw some people being like, animals will fuck anything, stuff like that. And some of this is like, that's the logic they're giving here. So it's like, it's tricky. It's tricky, I suppose, but they're not evil or something. That was never. It
No,
was never.
no.
No,
It's
I
just
could bash them, but it's not. I'm not here to bash them. I don't have great history with that
no,
organization.
yeah.
But I didn't come here to bash them. I came here to dig into the this post a bit. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, and the problem is with veganism itself. It's something that's very unpopular. It really does attack people's without even meaning to. It attacks people.
Mm,
So we've got to be really robust in our argumentation and extend that to everything that we argue with, which is really difficult to do because appeals to nature just from when we're brought up just are
mm,
so prominent within why we should do something, because I said so and I'm your, parent, and out in nature the
yeah.
parents, tell you what to do and guide you. Stuff like that.
Mm,
Anything like that could be, something that we pick up and think, oh well, natural, but we don't live in a natural world anymore. We're on the computer. I
no.
hate to tell you. There is
So
a
so
tree
so
outside, but
totally.
yeah.
So summarized, uh, bum people if you want to bum people, and you know whatever else you want to do. That's all right as long as they're consenting, of
Don't
course,
bum a
or
penguin
consensual.
unless you're a penguin. This is also
Absolutely,
important.
because penguins can't tell you they won't
No.
want to or don't want to be bummed until maybe one day they have some kind of I don't know node things they can stick on them and then they can communicate and then maybe then. But I don't think a penguin would be interested in a human. To be
No.
totally honest with you, they're probably going to want to go for their own species. A species is little shits.
Yeah,
But
disgusting.
that'll be a new form of discrimination one day. It'll be when we can finally communicate with them like fully.
And they don't want to
Then
bum.
and they don't want to bum, and then it's going to be like, whoa, look at these bigots. That'll be it in the future. It'll be like you wouldn't to a human. It'll be like, what, you telling me you wouldn't date a penguin? You bigoted, but what's wrong with them? Why would you not date a penguin? That's what it's going to be one day, I
Yeah,
reckon.
I
Something
can
like
only
that.
get turned down by a woman so many times, but I swear to God, if I get turned down by a dolphin, I will lose my shit. That will be that's the day I go celibate.
Oh my god.
Nah.
Yeah, this is now we talked about what's not a good look for vegans. Joking about potentially one day bestiality not being not being into bestiality making you a bigot probably isn't the best look
Sorry
For
about that.
vegans. Maybe we'll cut this out.
Yeah, it's too good. It's too good.
Because like some anti-vegan's gonna pick this up and go, look, see, I fucking said they were into animals. I said this all along, and
And
now
you
look
should
at them.
agree with that lesbian because they're weird. You know, they're into weird shit.
Typical,
Yeah,
typical
freak.
lesbians
Yeah.
fantasizing about dolphins.
Oh, classic.
Brilliant. Thanks for coming on. What
Thank
a
you for
way to
having me.
end.
I know.
Do you have anything you'd like to add before we close up?
I think I've probably said too much. So
Perfect. Yeah, agreed. Probably a good time to end it. Go subscribe to Vegan Gaze. That's GAZE, by the way.
Yeah. We're not.
Maybe considering the topic here, they're probably all thinking like it's Vegan Gaze. They're probably all thinking that's what it
Yeah,
is.
no,
It's not.
they do a lot. So yeah.
GAZE on YouTube and over on Instagram too. Thank you so much, Ellie.
Thank you for having me.